Welcome to the 2014 edition of the 90 Degree Show, hosted by the Marching Podcast and Blog Talk Radio. Advice may be misleading, but examples are always clear. And here's your host, the Phantom Podcaster himself, Joe Beard.
Good evening and welcome to the 90 Degree Show. I'm your host, Joe Beard, and happy to be of service for you tonight. Today is September 21st, 2014, 5 o'clock on the West Coast and 8 o'clock on the East Coast. We appreciate all those listening live and listening in podcast form, whether through iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, our website, Facebook, Twitter, or any social media device that you may have. At the end of the broadcast, if you decide you like the show, then we appreciate a donation to the network, if you feel so in your heart, of course. Just simply go to themarchingpodcast.com and click on the donate button to help improve the show and help build our scholarship fund. All right, we are excited to bring you the show this week. Tonight, our featured matchup, Miles and Hampton, did not happen this weekend. And then our backup matchup that we were going to talk about, Clark and Fort Valley State, that did not happen either. So we'll still talk about these schools based on what we saw, and we'll still get to our word on the street to talk about the buzz that's going on this year. Now, there are multiple great games every weekend that we can't touch. We can't touch them all. But you can help us by calling into the number that you see there on your screen and fill us in on the experience and matchup that we did not see, or even if you want to call in on and correct us on something or disagree with us, please do so. This is a show for the people, so just like science, we want to go through as much peer review as possible. So for the format for the show tonight, for all the new folks, as I turn the music down here, the format for the show tonight will be, in the first segment, we'll announce who won our People's Choice Award this week. Go to the website and vote on who won the matchup in the previous week, and I'll read the winner. Last week was the Southern Heritage Classic between Jackson State University and Tennessee State University. I'll bring in Rashad, and we'll talk with him about our feature matchup and just touch base a little bit on what we know about Miles, what we know about Hampton. You're welcome to call in on any segment. In the second segment, we'll talk about any other matchups or any games that we may saw. I know Rashad said that he went to the Winston-Salem State Tuskegee game and checked that out and had a little something for us. I've seen some tape of Tuskegee. I haven't seen Tuskegee on the field, but seen them in the stands. And I've seen a tape from Killer Care Productions of Winston-Salem State. So we'll touch base on a little bit of that tonight. And then, of course, in the last segment is our word on the street, comments from the web. I'll read something I saw on the 5th, Facebook, YouTube, or anything noteworthy to read. All the segments, again, like I said, you keep the lines open for people to call in and voice what they want. So let's go ahead and get to our first commercial break. You can email the show at marchingpodcast@gmail.com, tweet us at marchingpodcast, or follow our blog 4.themarchingpodcast.com. If you're listening live and have a Blog Talk Radio account, you can log into the chat room and leave your comments there. Last and definitely not least, please check out our website, themarchingpodcast.com. Let's take the time to hear from our sponsors. Tonight's show is brought to you by Liquid Effects Photography, The Edge One Productions, Block Band Music, bandhead.org, and hbcubands.com. Let's take the time to hear from them now.
Hey everyone, this is Dr. Darian Hampton, Meharry Medical College School of Dentistry, class of 2007, and you are listening to the 90 Degree Show here on the Marching Podcast Network.
Having an anniversary party, birthday party, or better yet, you're about to marry that special someone? Liquid Effects Photography is the perfect choice to immortalize all your most special moments. With 10 years of dependable professional service that can deliver from the conventional to the best in cutting-edge technology and creativity. Come experience the uniqueness of Liquid Effects Photography. We serve the entire upper Midwest and will travel further upon request. Come check us out at liquideffects.com. That's LIQUIDEFFEX.com. Or call us at 773-454-5556. That's 773-454-5556.
Band directors, have you ever found yourselves in this situation? Showtime is quickly approaching. Your budget is quickly disappearing. Your music choices are narrowing. The equipment condition is wearing and your stress level is mounting. Stop what you're doing and contact Block Band Music and find out how we've got you. Check www.blockbandmusic.com, providing music, equipment, gear, and accessories to show style, core style, and traditional bands worldwide.
From photo shoots to graduation pictures, from probates to band footage, from pageants to yard shows, there's only one team you can count on, the Edge One Productions. Visit theedge1.com and trust me, you won't be disappointed.
What if there was a Facebook for bands? Wait a minute, there is. Bandhead.org. Bandhead.org is a social network for HBCU show bands. You can create your own profile and post videos, photos, and comments on bandhead.org. Need somewhere to post events, audition schedules, job postings? Check out bandhead.org. Are you recruiting for talent? Go to bandhead.org. Bandhead.org, a social network for bands.
What up, bandheads? Are you looking for a talk show about HBCU marching bands? Well, look no further than the 90 Degree Show, brought to you by the Marching Podcast. Every Sunday during the football season at 8 p.m. Eastern, we recap the most intriguing battles of the weekend and give you, the listener, an opportunity to voice your opinion on the battle by calling into the show and talking with our panelists. Are you ready for the only interactive show in the world for HBCU marching bands? Then check us out Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern at blogtalkradio.com/marchingpodcast. The 90 Degree Show, the interactive HBCU band podcast show.
Hello, this is John Needham II, proud graduate of Dillard University, class of 2000, and owner of N2 Fitness, where you can purchase your workout gear at www.n2fitness.storeenvy.com. You are listening to the 90 Degree Show here on the Marching Podcast Network.
All right, welcome back, and you're listening to Miles bring us back from a commercial break. We are happy that you are with us, and we appreciate you being with us tonight, listening in on week 4 of the 90 Degree Show here on the Marching Podcast Network. Again, we're going to go ahead and bring in my man, the owner and founder of Block Band Music, Mr. Rashad Waters. What's going on, Rashad?
Man, everything is fantastic, brother. We are just back from a football game on yesterday. My first true band matchup, but actually in quite some time, so I'm doing great, bro.
That's really cool, man. And it was I'm glad that you went to something because there was a lot of bands that didn't travel this weekend or for various reasons. But it was like I was trying to go down the list of everything that we saw on the pregame matchup. Looking at all the schedules and stuff, and just going down the list. No, we not going. So it was good that you were able to touch base on something. I was thinking, we could touch a little bit about talking about Miles, talking a little bit about Hampton, and you're free to call in yourself at 718-664-6025. I see we have some people in the chat room. Welcome, and you're listening to the 90 Degree Show, Week 4, and we'll get into first. Let me get into the winner of our People's Choice Awards for 2014, Week 3. If you go to our website at themarchingpodcast.com, you can vote on our featured matchup. And last week was the Southern Heritage Classic with Jackson State University and Tennessee State University. We talked about that here on the network, and we had some good people calling in. Had some really, really good analytical debate about it all. Because, of course, when you talk about Jackson State, you got to talk about, analytics and precision and stuff like that.
And we have some scholarships pulled as well.
Yeah, right. That's right. Maurice just pulled all I'm sorry, and I can't say mellophone, but what are the Tennessee State, they march Finchhorn players? Is that what it was? I think that's what they were saying. But, yes, so it was outstanding. It was a good show. You guys go ahead and listen to that. You can go to our website, and it's still up there in the middle, or you can check us out on Twitter. But I will not hold you back any longer. Let's go ahead and get into the winner here, and let's cue up here our little suspense music here. Where we got it? Here we go. Let's go ahead here. All right. So with 65% of the vote, that is 65% of the vote, Jackson State University, the Sonic Boom of the South, wins the 2014 People's Choice Awards winner for Week 3. I'll say congratulations to Jackson State. I must say, I do remember last year Jackson State taking the L here on our People's Choice Awards for last year's Southern Heritage Classic. More people voted that Jackson State, took that L. You are free to check that out, and at the end of the year, we'll post the actual results of the total for the year. But you can check out last year's and the previous year's. I think I have the previous years, but no matter, it doesn't matter. Check out our blog, themarchingpodcast.com, and you can check out all of that information, plus other things about the network, and a various list of all of these shows as well. So you guys go ahead and check that out, and then put your email there in on the top right box, and then every time we post a blog, that it will go directly to your email, so then you will be officially following us. Okay, so let's get right into it here. Tonight we're going to get into a little bit about Miles and Hampton. This didn't happen, but I guess, we can touch base on a little bit. It's not a lot of video out of Hampton. I only saw one video of their show this year, and it wasn't the greatest video. I think it was a girl's cell phone. But for the most part, you saw their show and, what they're talking about. Miles, on the other hand, they have a lot more tape out there on the web. Have you checked out either band, Rashad?
Yeah, I think I saw probably the same videos that you did. I saw the the video that was made between phone calls, and
right.
I saw a really good video of Miles. But it's probably about 2 weeks old, so it's kind of hard to make a judgment, because as we have seen with some of the other bands, you say, oh, this week they were terrible, but then you come back the very next week or 2 weeks later and they really sound a whole lot better.
Yep, it's really cool. I mean, that's exactly why we're doing the show. I mean, it's no different than sports, and no different than anything where, we're just better on some days and not as good on some other days. We have a different week of preparation. Definitely who we play is on our minds that week. So all that ties into band, too. And that's why we're here, man, so we can talk about this stuff. And all the you, especially you high school people out there, you definitely want to, think about joining a lot of these bands, a lot of these show-style bands in colleges. And it's an exciting thing. It's definitely become a part of your life. And definitely the skills and things that you learn from all those hours of standing at attention and marching definitely play out when you have to be in your office 9 hours a day. So we'll get into that much more, sure. But let's go ahead and get into these bands a little bit. What you think about Miles, Rashad?
Okay. So, again, based on what I saw 2 weeks ago, I think they had a very exciting show. Let me see here. A lot of power, of course, a lot of energy. However, I would say that they sound like a band that is not really spending a lot of time on the fundamentals. To me, they sound like a band that's spending a lot of time working on the music. Like, they know their music. There's no doubt about that. But it doesn't sound like they're spending a lot of time on things like lip slurs or on going through scales and things like that. Because as you listen to the different instruments play, like as the mellophones move from one note to another, it's kind of like when you get older and it's harder for you to get up, like, you know.
Grunting
versus when you're young, you're grunting. Versus when you're young, or perhaps even if you're older, but you move a lot, you get up and it's very seamless. You know, your movements are seamless. But as you listen, as the instruments are moving from one note to another, it's not a smoothness of moving from one note to another. It's a heaviness moving. To me, that's indicative of a band that doesn't seem to really work on a lot of the building characteristics of playing. Now, granted, this week, you know, they could have been a lot better. Again, this was 2 weeks ago, but that's what they sounded like then to me.
Right. Yeah, I think I agree with you on basically everything. I thought they had a good show, good energy. I like the drill. You know, I'm a fan of the 4 company fronts and, you know, the 4-man squads. So, you know, Miles, you know, did that in their drill. And you can tell, you know, and it's probably maybe a tribute to some of the things. That's why I like you being on the show to tell us, you know, the musical side of things. But I could tell that, you know, they lost some sound on their drill. You know what I mean? Like, so maybe some of those characteristics, or some of, you know, the lip slurs or what, the conditioning or whatever hadn't kicked in, because it is, you know, early in the season. So, again, you know, maybe they would have been crunk this week, especially going for Hampton. I'm sure that, you know, that matchup both bands would have been ready for. So I'm sure that we would have seen something good. It's too bad we didn't, you know, get to see it. They played the gospel song, and I thought that, you know, that was okay. It seemed to be different, and it's something I picked up again from you. Like, you could tell probably they maybe got that song maybe that week, I guess maybe. You know, you could just tell that they wasn't blowing it with the same confidence as the other songs or like the songs in their show. I know, like, one part, like, they had, like, this formation. They looked like they were in, like, 3 arrows or 3 something, like a chevron or something like that. And they were cranking. Whatever that was, that was, like, the truth. Whatever they were playing, and it was like, wow, they know that song. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, so again, you know, I think that, you know, it's just too bad we got a chance to miss out. They didn't do a dance routine. But I have to say, man, I was not thrilled to see them singing when they oh damn. I was like, no, Miles, not you. Like, y'all don't have to do that, please. And then they broke it down. They had like the dudes on one note and the other girls. I was like, oh hell no, get that out of here, man. You know. But other than that, I mean, they were on point. What did you think about the little show that you saw? Or the video that you saw at Hampton?
So, again, you know, it's from the side, and so it was hard to see. I've been told that Hampton's band is pretty small this year, but that video, it looked like the band was bigger. But then I've also been told that they've got a lot of woodwind this year. So, you know, they were strong. I should say they sounded a little bit better than I thought that they would, being that their numbers were so low. So I need to get a close-up view so that I can actually see, you know, what they're talking about there. Overall, the main thing that I saw there, Joe, was, and I've said this, I think, before about Hampton right now, there seems to be not a lot of strength in the lower parts. This was the same thing that we said about FAM last year. First trombones are decent. You know, first trumpets are decent, but baritones are not really there. Second trombones are not there. Second and third trumpets, mellophones are not really there. So you don't get like a really rich sound. Like, there's a lot of tuba, and then there's a lot of first trombone above that. And then in between first trombone and tuba, there's a gap. and that really lends towards you having a very big, mature sound in your band. I know that Hampton tends to play in awkward keys. You know, bands in the North, you know, we don't have a problem playing in key of F sharp or the key of E natural. You know, we don't. You know, a lot of bands, they're not going to play past E flat or F or something like that. Something that feels good on the horn. But when you're playing in these awkward keys like that, you really have to make sure you spend a lot of time on tuning. And you could hear a couple of times, or maybe the first trombone's a little off a little bit, or maybe, you know, the trumpet's a little off a little bit, playing in what could have been some more natural keys. I think they'll sound better once they really start to focus on those lower instruments. Maybe, in being a Hampton grad myself, you know, one of the things that I did when I was in band is that, let's say if we got a really strong trombone player, you know, I mean, this cat might be one of the best people in the whole trombone section, might be, you know, better player than myself. I would sometimes put him on the third trombone part instead of putting him on the first trombone part. If his tone was really rich and full, he was going to play third trombone regardless of his ability, because it's not about who's the better player. It's about who's going to bring the best richness to the overall sound of the band regardless of what part you play. And I don't know if that's still going on there or if that needs to be revisited. Maybe some of the people that are playing first need to play some of those lower parts in order to create a fuller sound.
Yeah, that's actually, you know, I guess like you said, you can break down the music part. I was thinking their sound was kind of young. Like I was thinking, like, you know, of course they don't have much to stand on, or it was something, you know, with their sound. Definitely very trumpety at parts, you know, and you know, very, you know, tinny, or, you know, like thin but tin, like sound, you know. They, like you said, not enough of support, or like, you know, the bass or the deepness, you know, what I was looking for. I'm not gonna lie though, I am a fan of the hybrid style. You know, I'm a fan of the four company fronts, but I'm also a fan of that hybrid style. And from the side view, I could tell that they were doing a little bit of that, you know, a little bit of maybe a roll step backwards and to the side, and then, of course, like marching 90s forward and all that, and then keeping the bells up front. I think, you know, that was really good, because I like that. I ain't going to lie, man. I would love to see the Boom doing something like that. I think that was brought up some years back, and it was, like, shot down immediately. But I ain't going to lie. I would love to see the Boom doing something like that. Anyway, but they were marching. The stuff that I see, I know a couple times she zoomed in for a little while. Hampton was marching, so, you know, they were bringing the energy, but I still don't think their sound was as good as Miles. You know, that's just kind of the main thing. I thought they sounded okay in the steel formation, and I thought their dance routine had, like, a good choreography. Like, I like the music and the transition between it. You know what I mean? So, you know, they not scrubby. Hampton is not like a scrubby band. That's why I was excited to see this. I thought they were going to match up pretty evenly. So, as far as what do you think, man, as far as, we never know about the halftime show because, you know, depending on what they do, or, you know, they might do a cool gimmick, or they may have something dope on the field to take it. But what do you think as far as, like, maybe the fifth, or based on what you see as far as maybe, let's say, in the fifth, who would win between these two schools?
Right. You never know when they're going to bring out the big girls. And the high calorie girls. And you're like, whoa, that changes everything.
It does. Or somebody's going to come out backflipping and start to bust out singing or something. You don't know about that either.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I think that Miles would have taken it, though. I do. I think that even though they have different problems, I think that Miles have some good experienced players, and they have a decent amount of balance throughout the band, although it's hard to hear the melody sometimes. I think that they would have done a better job of making the presentation of their music versus Hampton for that particular game. And, you know, I look forward to Hampton developing. You know, those of us who marched in the band years ago in the 90s and 2000s, we're really excited to see Hampton back up again. And so we're hoping that, you know, the current band director can really do some things in order to get that going again. But I do think Miles probably would have taken it.
Yeah, I agree. Probably based on, the power. I think, like you said, Hampton's a little bit rebuilding, and they're establishing something good. They look good, and they're establishing it. But Miles is definitely, they got a momentum swing going on right now, and, we definitely probably talk about that a little bit later. But it seems like they have like a little rivalry going on with Talladega. It seems like those two bands right now, have a good little rivalry going. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd be very interested in seeing that, particularly when the guy the announcer from Miles made the comment that they were the biggest band in the SEAC. Really? Because I thought the Talladega was bigger than that. So I think that would be a very good matchup.
Yeah, and I actually have that in my notes for our word on the street, and we'll get into it later. But there's going to be a battle of the bands next weekend on the day of our show on the East Coast, and I think Miles and Talladega will be there. So that would be really exciting, especially if someone gets a chance to be there. We'll get into that more in the end of the show. But yeah, I bring that up just because I say Miles is on that momentum swing, whereas Hampton, right there, they don't have as much momentum going right now. So we both agree on that. We don't see anyone in the call queue, so we can go ahead. Let's get this next commercial break out the way. I had a little timer set, man, so we could try to get with the commercials a little bit better. Going to break and all of that, and it's like a couple of seconds off. So I'm not going to lie. I'm going to see if this actually works and see how we go to commercial with our break. Because, when we in those tense moments, like when we talking about with Maurice, last week, I might not be able to look at the clock as much. So, okay, yeah. See, nice. It came in on time. So that once we start hearing that music, Rashad, we know that we need to shut up and go to break. So... We got that music going in the background. Let's go ahead and go to our first break here. We'll come back and we'll talk about Winston-Salem State and Tuskegee. You're listening to Week 4 here on the 90 Degree Show, brought to you by the Marching Podcast and Blog Talk Radio. Thanks for listening.
This is Warren Shaw, Chief Arranger and the voice of McClarkenland University, Mighty Marching Panthers. You are listening to the 90 Degree Show on the Marching Podcast Network.
From photo shoots to graduation pictures, from probates to band footage, from pageants to yard shows, there's only one team you can count on, the Edge One Productions. Visit theedge1.com and trust me, you won't be disappointed.
Need to write music and drill? Get it on the field. Outfit your band. Keep your administrator happy and still have a life. Encountering drama in the process, ain't nobody got time for that. Let Block Band Music assist you with musical arrangements and drills to fit your band, and also the equipment, gear, and accessories to keep the visuals, music, and marching on point. Contact blockbandmusic@gmail.com and see how this worldwide minority-owned business can uplift your band.
Hello, this is Brian Knowles, Associate Director of Bands at Miles College, and proud Tennessee State University grad and proud Alabama State University grad. And you are listening to the 90 Degree Show here on the Marching Podcast Network.
welcome back to our second segment. You're listening to Tuskegee. I don't know if the name is Partition, but I know on one of the videos I saw they playing this song and they had Partition onto it. But this is from the game against Alabama A&M. Again, you're listening to Tuskegee. You're here again with another segment here with the 90 Degree Show here on the brought to you by the Martian Podcast and Blog Talk Radio. Thanks for listening. I'm gonna go ahead and bring Rashad back in here as we talk about Tuskegee and Winston-Salem State. Rashad, the great prune juice himself, actually attended this matchup, so we'll get a full, rich analysis here based on what we saw. I kind of was assuming that maybe this was going to be like one-sided, but you never know. You know, based on all the matchups that actually went down this weekend, this actually did happen. So we'll actually have this as our featured matchup where you can go on our website, themarchingpodcast.com, and vote. So this will be our Week 4 matchup that you will vote on. So just letting folks know now, Winston-Salem State versus Tuskegee. We'll put that up on our website maybe tonight, early tomorrow. But you can go there. We'll post it up when it's ready and vote on who you think, and we'll read the winner next week. On a great week next weekend, and we'll get into that later. So, Rashad, you went to the game, man. What did you think about? I'll just go ahead and give you the floor, man. What did you think, man?
Okay, let's go ahead and get this rolling here. So, starting out, number one, I thought it was a pretty interesting game. With both bands played, quite a bit. Not a tremendous amount, but they played enough to keep it interesting and stayed involved with the actual football game itself. The first one I have recorded here was Tuskegee playing backstabbers. And there was a few wrong notes in that, which is, for a song like Backstabbers, you're like, come on, this is the same thing we said about Black and Blue. It's like, okay, these are songs that I'm sure you've been playing for years, probably the song that you passed out day one. There shouldn't be any wrong notes in that. But there were some good things going on with the horns and baritones with that. They followed up with 400 Degrees, good arrangement. Crowd really enjoyed it. The introductions were everybody kind of flubbed in on that. And that's really kind of what you saw on there's a good introduction to my overall feeling about Tuskegee. Tuskegee's got a lot of potential, but you can tell there's not a lot of attention to detail. Tuskegee right now is kind of like that band. It's like that dude that walks up and he's got a nice suit on and stuff. The shirt or the tie is kind of okay. He looks okay, and he's got a piece of toilet paper sticking to his foot. It's just not enough attention to detail. Entrances were not quite clear, or maybe there's a couple wrong notes, here and there. Winston, I think, sounded a little bit better as far as that was concerned. But Tuskegee was playing more, so Winston played for fanfare. That sounded decent. Mellicons a little out of tune, but sounded pretty good. Tuskegee went on to play Just Got Paid, and that brings me to more comments about Tuskegee. And I'm going to say more about Winston as we get to halftime, because I was sitting on the home side, so I could hear Tuskegee a little bit more. Joe, okay. I'm going to say in my pronouncing, if I ever get my chance to write it, there's a difference between playing out of tune and being out of tune. Okay? Playing out of tune, to me, means that you don't really understand the intervals between two notes, and therefore you're playing sharp or you're playing flat as you're getting between one note or another, because maybe you're overblowing, maybe you're not supporting the pitch, maybe you're not articulating correctly, maybe you're not breathing correctly. Playing out of tune, though, or being out of tune, has more to do with the overall ensemble. Like, did you do a good job as a band of tuning? Is this trumpet player in tune with this trumpet player, regardless of how they play? Did you, and maybe some of that has to do with the fact, sometimes when people tune, they'll tune at mezzo forte, but then everything else they play is triple forte. So the band might have sounded good playing soft, but then all of a sudden you start your first song and intonation goes out the window because you didn't tune for that. Right. And that's really what I saw with Tuskegee. There were some issues where individual players were playing out of tune, but the bigger issue was that the band itself was out of tune, and whole sections would be out of tune. You could clearly hear 2 or 3 different trombone players playing instead of them sounding like one section. Okay,
Wow. And it's good. Hey, it's good that that our friend of the network, John Lennar, got hired then to help them out, and I guess we see why he got hired then, to probably help them, because he wasn't there. He just got hired since we actually did the interview. But hopefully, definitely he's listening, and shout out to you out there. So, he's definitely taking that. And I know probably even last week when we were talking about stuff from the boom or just different levels of the pyramid of different parts, like you said, this definitely set out of love and everything, but no disrespect, intended. And we're not trying to piss nobody off. We only try to piss off the fam folks because they seem to have the best responses. They have... Only when you say stuff about fam, that's when actually stuff get going on the 5th. Shout out to you on the 5th, and shout out to the fam folks on the 5th that always change all those conversations. No matter what you're talking about, they always turn about a fam after about three or four notions. But please, moving on. Please, go ahead. I digress.
Okay. But let's move on to the halftime show. So Tuskegee came out. They drilled to I'm Dreaming. I thought it was interesting that they did the step twos, but they did step twos facing the home side and away side and not upfield and downfield. Therefore, you were able to get more of the sound headed towards you, which is good. They were a smaller band, a total of 90 people, including everybody. So it was good to be able to have that. I would say they needed to have a lot more announcing going on. There wasn't a lot of build up, like, here we go, we're Tuskegee and we're about to kick it in here. There wasn't a whole lot of that. And then during the drill, it was just kind of like, okay, let's let them drill and I'll shut up. Instead of, like, you think about a band like Southern, and you hear, it's the moving, it's the grooving, the number one band in that. You pop that stuff here and there in order to get the crowd going, and there wasn't really a lot of that. Drill was short, very short, like a minute and a half probably. Articulations weren't very clear. They played Working Day and Night. Good sound from the trumpets overall. Dance routine, they went into trophies. That wasn't very clean. No Flex Zone, which I've heard a couple of times. I didn't think that would be a dance routine song, but it seems to be working out well. And then they went into Anaconda. The tubas were having a hard time with that. It seemed like they didn't have place to breathe. So overall, it wasn't that really a greatest show. Definitely, once again, just didn't need a whole lot more attention to the detail, to the little things. Okay, going on to Winston's show, completely different. When Winston came out, the announcer, this is Winston-Salem, and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it was probably a good, 15, 17, 18 seconds before the band started, with the announcer getting the crowd ready. So this is important. It doesn't matter. Sometimes it doesn't matter how good your band, the performing part of your band is, if your announcing is not on it as well. They are part of the band.
It's part of it. It really is.
Yeah. They started out with Beat It, which I thought was a good intro. They had a good... Oh, one thing that they did, I thought this was interesting. I think other bands should borrow this. It's a good combination of two of the things that you like, Joe, where bands are doing the step twos and things, but also doing the company fronts. So what they did was they had their trumpets who were playing the melody all lined up across, the trumpets and mellophones or something, all lined up across the front, playing the melody at the audience. In the meantime, the whole rest of the ensemble was doing step twos behind them.
Wow.
I thought that was a brilliant idea because obviously step twos look great if you do them well, but they completely get rid of your sound. Versus if they're just standing there playing the melody, that's great, but it's boring. So they did a good job of combining those two. Let's see here. Good overall sound for the band. However, baritones were a problem all throughout. There would be so many times the baritones would just, like they were gagging. They were coughing up something. What was going on. And the drill didn't really seem to match. I think they were playing the new Michael Jackson joint, and it's like it started out really well, like the high points of the song were matching the drill, but then when they got to the chorus of the song, the band was still moving instead of stopping and just letting us hear it for a moment. They did do a breakdown in the middle of it, and that was cool. It really got kind of got the audience going. It was kind of short though. It was only like 8 counts, maybe 16 counts, something like that. Probably would have done better. That hit Man in the Mirror though, Joe, Michael Jackson. And
yeah, I saw that on the
really,
video. I saw it there. How did that sound to
really
you?
got the crowd going, man. It sounded good. It sounded real good.
Because the video I saw, I want you to check out the video I saw when you get a chance this week, because I thought maybe they just got it that week, but it sounded different. You know, like out of all the rest of their songs, it sounded real trumpety, or like, you know, it didn't have any other parts. So maybe they've had that time to work on it, and they probably developed it a whole lot better, probably.
You thought that song was better than the others?
No, like
or
on the video I saw, I thought Man in the Mirror didn't sound all that great. You know, it's just really trumpety. You know, too trumpety. I mean, if I can say that. But probably that's what I was saying. They probably played it better now.
Well, at the beginning, it's really primarily just trumpets and I think baritones just playing the melody on their own, and it's not a whole lot of counter melody and stuff going on. So maybe that's what you were hearing. It's just It's just melody. But they really got the audience into it, and the audience was singing along with them. There's good articulation all the way across the board, which again was a major difference between Winston and Tuskegee with the articulation, cleanliness. However, once again, baritones, when we move into the next transition to the next thing, baritones are really off. We moved to slave to the rhythm, way too much percussion. The percussion was so loud you really couldn't tell what was going on. This was something Tuskegee was great at. Even though Tuskegee had a smaller band, their percussion section was never really over. They had a lot of bass drums, and maybe that was kind of overwhelming. But honestly, it's kind of hard to overwhelm with bass drums sometimes because the pitch is so low. But everything else, tenor drums, multi-tone snares, it can be overwhelming. Tuskegee did a great job of balancing their band versus Winston, particularly during this song, Slave to the Rhythm, not so much. Okay, moving on to the dance routine. Through the announcer made a mistake. He said, "Well, okay, we're about to go on to play Thriller," and then you hear da 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 da. That's not Thriller.
No, that hurts a little bit. That hurts a little bit.
You know, but then they hit Thriller after that. The dance routine was actually really good, which kind of going off of the word on the street with the fifth quarter. People were talking about dance routines and are they relevant? Are they important? Winston had a great dance routine. This actually was the best part of their show. And one thing I really liked is when they did the Thriller, they had the drum majors come out and they were all dressed as zombies. And the drum majors were doing the same moves as the band, but they were doing it to the next level, which really was able to bring out the band. Like a lot of times, the band can only dance so hard if they have the instruments, particularly if they're playing, you know.
Right.
And a lot of times the drum majors are kind of doing the moves the same way the band is doing. Versus in this situation, the drum majors were really kicking the moves. So it made the whole band look better because the drum majors were really kicking the moves. Then they came off the field to Leave Me Alone, and the announcer ended the show saying, "And that's how it's done." And that's basically true. Winston really showed Tuskegee how it was done as far as halftime. The stands battle was a lot different, and I'm just going to cut it with this. It was a lot closer in the stands than it was on the field. On the field, Winston all the way. In the stands, though, particularly in the fifth quarter, once again, I was on the home side, and I really can't make the best judgment, but I could tell that there were some times with Winston where there were some notes, particularly in the trumpet section, and you're like, what just happened right there? On the other side, Tuskegee, I would say Tuskegee has some great arrangements. That partition that we were just listening to as we came back, I don't like the fact that that same part goes over and over again.
It does.
Yeah. So that's not how the song goes. However, they did some really, really interesting things with the arrangement as it went. A lot of chords going on, a lot of things. You heard when they went to the chorus that the song got softer. They could work on that a little bit because you could tell they were trying to do some dynamic things. But it was really interesting. It just needs to be played better. But overall, Tuskegee has some really good arrangements. Tuskegee needs to continue to focus on just those small details, and I think that, and also get some more people in the band. And I think they will be, start to become a top-notch power again. Winston, I think, they're doing well. They've been to the Honda 3 times in a row. It seems like they deserve that, so.
So you think in the fifth, you say it was,
there.
you say in the fifth it was closer, but do you still give it to Winston?
I want to give it to Tuskegee, actually, in the fifth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what's up. I'll say let me say mine right fast.
Okay.
Just so we can get through this segment. Basically, I didn't see the fifth, so I can't guess per se. I was thinking that I was gonna say okay, I'll say it's a draw on the fifth because Tuskegee, for what they were shooting at Alabama A&M, that's what I saw them in the stands. They had the heart. I just felt they didn't have the instrumentation to deal with A&M, and I was guessing that would be the same in the stands. But for what I saw, it looks like for Winston had the same show. From what I saw, I like the dance routine as well. The thing about the guy Killer Kev Productions, he's down on the level with the band, so you don't see stuff from up high, but you at least are able to see if people are marching or not and their intensity. And Winston's marching. They march well. They've been consistent, I think, with energy and what Dr. Magruder is putting to them. They do sound kind of young. And again, I didn't see them from up top to see the specifics of their precision, but I thought they're putting in some good energy in the dance routine and just get good energy from the beginning to the end of the show. Some of the fullness comes out at times. On their sound, more times than others. But of course, like you say, like what was that? Sometimes there's a couple of those spots where it's like what was that? Like I put down. I wrote the note. They played Man in the Mirror, but I didn't think it sounded all that great. But they've had time to work on it, so it's probably better. But like you said, I was guessing that they were going to just beat Tuskegee in the stands just because based on instrumentation. And, maybe Tuskegee was going to do something super dope at the halftime. But I'm glad that you were there to let us know the truth. And, I'm direct wrong in both instances. So shout out to you. Another good prunalysis. Again, if you're listening, you can call in or leave your comments in the chat room. I see we got a good number of folks in the chat room. You guys can, and I see I look like Tyrone is up in there from 8 to 5 Music. Shout out to you out there, man. You guys can leave your comments there in the chat room, and I'll read them on the air as well. So between the two, man, I guess, like you said, you think probably Winston got him on the field, and Tuskegee probably got him in the stands a little bit, huh?
Yeah, overall, it's definitely going to be a Winston victory because it wasn't a landslide blowout in the field like it was on halftime. Right.
Well, look, like we right there, right in time for our second segment in there. We'll go ahead and go to our commercial break. Time to hear from our sponsors. You're listening to the 90 Degree Show, Week 4, here brought to you by the Marching Podcast and Blog Talk Radio.
This is David Thompson, owner and founder of Liquid Effects Photography, and you're listening to the 90 Degree Show here on the Marching Podcast Network. What if there was a Facebook for bands? Wait a minute, there is. Bandhead.org. Bandhead.org is a social network for HBCU show bands. You can create your own profile and post videos, photos, and comments on Bandhead.org. Need somewhere to post events, audition schedules, job postings? Check out Bandhead.org. Are you recruiting for talent? Go to Bandhead.org. Bandhead.org, a social network for bands.
Chopping It Up is a podcast of one-on-one interviews with positive role models that have a connection through music and or education. Chopping It Up is all about inspiring our youth for a great future and providing a roadmap on how to get there. We also chop it up to give insight to anyone looking for information or hope in their endeavors. Chop it up with us on Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern at blogtalkradio.com/marchingpodcast. Chopping It Up, changing the world through positive interaction.
This is Janice Craig Hartsfield, proud Spelman College alumni, class of 1964, and you're listening to the 90 Degree Show here on the Marching Podcast Network.
We're back in our last segment here where we're going to get our comments from the web or hear our word on the street, so to speak. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor or a patron to the Marching Podcast, please contact the show and we'll give you the criteria so that we can start your business using our platform. We'll play your commercial, we'll post your website on our blog, and we'll help you send out your information through social media. So contact us so we can help to build your business. You were listening to Winston-Salem State there here in the background, and this is from their show that I saw, and I'm guessing that they played the same song. I don't know the song, but it's the song that they played for the dancers. And I'm guessing that, they played the same, sounds like they played the same show. Rashad, do you recognize this? Is that the song?
Yeah. That's the
okay.
To the rhythm. That's Michael Jackson.
See, that's what I said. See, Rashad is able to break stuff down. I don't be knowing, I'm not hip on the streets because I just hear the songs a little bit. I hear them like, wow, that song is nice. And then I'll be driving to work one day. I hear it on the radio super late. But, hey, at least we're able to give the specifics here on the 90 Degree Show. We're back here on the third segment, and it's our final segment here, and you're free to call in at 718-664-6025. Again, and if you want to leave your comments there in the chat room as well. I wanted to bounce a couple of things off you, man, just like we did last week. A couple things. I've heard the song Happy a lot. A lot of bands playing Happy. I had to ask someone of your musical expertise, is that really a band song? Because for me, it's not doing it for me. I'm kind of not liking hearing it. You know what I'm saying? Is that a band song?
Is it because you've heard the song enough times that it doesn't make you happy anymore?
No, not that. I thought about that. Like, was it like played out? And it's like, no, if it comes on, I still might, groove to it or whatever. But like hearing bands playing it seemed like it drags or something, or like the phrasing just doesn't go together or something. I mean, I'm sure you've heard bands play Happy this year, haven't you? What do you think about the arrangements you've heard?
They're all different. Some of them use different chords, but I haven't thought anything in particular that made that song stand out. I mean, to me, if bands can play what is that, No Flex Zone, which if you're not familiar with that, it sounds like a teenage boy saying it. No Flex Zone, they know better, they know. Bands are playing that, so
I think that's kind of bringing something in my mind. I wish I knew somebody. I wish I knew these bands. I kind of sound like that. But, yeah, I guess I just brought it up because I heard Jackson State play it. I heard Miles play it. And it just seems like it's and it's just like I'm waiting for something, It just didn't seem like it was put together. All right, another thing. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's it. Go ahead.
Okay. Next thing I wanted to run by you, too, is next weekend, and I talked about this a little bit earlier. Next week, I'm excited to say we're going to talk about Miles and Albany State because, I'm excited about Miles and Albany State. That's been like one of my favorite matchups since we started doing the show. Last year they didn't match up, but this year they're supposed to. And then talking to Brian Nall, shout out to you, Brian. He said that they're going to a Battle of the Bands next weekend as well with Talladega. So next weekend, man, hopefully we'll have some footage or we'll have somebody to tell us what they see there. But what do you think, man, of those potential matchups next week?
I think that sounds good, man. And there's actually even another battle of bands going on next weekend, which I want to go to, but there's a high school band competition with a lot of our customers there, so I won't be able to make it on that same weekend. But this one, Joe, it's Virginia versus North Carolina battle of the bands.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah, it's predominantly one of the major high schools in North Carolina, which is Hillside High School, versus Highland Springs High School. That's going to be a great matchup. Both of those are, they win pretty much everything to the end, both of those schools. Then you're going to have, if I'm not mistaken, smallest to biggest, it's Virginia Union versus Elizabeth City. And then from there, Virginia State versus Winston. And then from there, Hampton versus A&T.
Wow, that's actually going to be pretty exciting. Like you said, like the Virginia versus North Carolina, that's actually, I think I saw that on Facebook. I think Taylor Whitehead put that up. But yeah, man, one day, man, we have the resources. We have, our correspondents and our cameras everywhere. Like, we'll be like Sports Center, you know what I'm saying? But, if we get anybody, you know what I'm saying? Or we'll have somebody, we won't even have that, we'll have somebody standing in the studio just screaming that. Da-da-da-da-da-da. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Joe, that the black chick from the I don't watch football like that. So I don't know her name. I think her name was Pam something. But the
Pam
one that was
Grier?
always on the sidelines. Yeah,
Pam Grier.
Yeah, she
no
needs
way.
a job.
Pam Anderson. No, that ain't it. It's Pamela something. But
Pam
she went to Florida A&M. Matter of fact.
Well, there you go, and she needs a job. So maybe you might want to hit her up right now.
Yeah. But yeah, man, that's what's up. Shout out to you, because I know I tweeted out her name when I think I did saw that they're moving on. And man, I wish I really knew her name, but I do know Pamela. I do know, and I know she's been around for a minute. But yeah, shout out to the good fam folks.
Is it Pam Dickerson?
No, I can't believe we ain't got her name right, man. But it's Pamela something. Pamela something. I might have to Google that right fast. Pam something. But I wanted to at least give you the time. I know that you said that you saw A&T last week, and I know that we touched base on it a little bit last time. What did you think about A&T just seeing them live?
Wow. Joe, 180-degree turnaround. Some people were saying 360-degree turnaround.
Pam Oliver.
Degrees.
Pam Oliver. Somebody just tweeted me. Pam Oliver. Appreciate that.
Pam Oliver. Thank you for the chat room, right?
I know, right? Appreciate that chat room.
But A&T show 2 weeks ago was a 180-degree turnaround from what we saw against Alabama A&M. They did the same show that they did against Alabama A&M, and they pretty much fixed every problem. Everything that was wrong with that show, they fixed it. It has probably been the best show I have seen this year. Of course, A&T is really doing that thing where they're keeping all the sound facing straight ahead. So Jackson State would probably be the other best show that I've seen this year. I think their second game. But the thing about Jackson State, they've got so much power, but you lose it all versus when they're doing the downfield. Versus A&T, they're just keeping that sound in your face. They went to Elon College, which is predominantly a white school. I thought it was really interesting because the week before I had gone to a Duke game, Duke University versus Elon, and when Duke's band took the field, everybody went to the concession stand. So I thought the same thing was going to happen, at halftime for this game. But at the Elon game, nobody went to the concession stand. Nobody. And Elon band performed first. They just knew what the deal was. And everybody waited for A&T to play, and then they just, they just put on a phenomenal show. This guy behind me said, they've already got us beat. They've got capes. But it was very exciting from beginning to end. Now, but one of the things I want to talk about real fast here is what is a fan's purpose at the football game, okay? Because, honestly, from the football game perspective, A&T's relevance to the game was like Michael Jackson coming to the game. Michael Jackson would come on and he would do a great halftime show, But other than that, he doesn't have anything to do with the football game. And that's pretty much what A&T was. In 4 quarters of, actually 3 quarters that I was there, A&T played 4 songs. And at least 3 of those songs were in the 4th quarter. For the most part, it was the drum line playing here and there, and the band played nothing. They sat there and played nothing. Now, you would think, okay, maybe it's because they're not allowed to play. Well, on the other side, Elon's band was there, and Elon's band played pretty much every 3 to 4 minutes, constantly.
Wow.
So from a football game perspective, even though they were much smaller and, it's like a pet band over there, from the perspective of how do we serve this football team, Elon's band was on it. And I have to give them props, versus A&T. I don't know what was going on. Maybe they weren't prepared to play a lot of short songs. They only had, long songs, and maybe they just didn't know how to cut them off. I don't know. But I really want all of our bands in general to make sure we remember, yes, you and I, Joe, know that it's about the band, and we're there to battle another band, but we do have another purpose. And our number one purpose is to support the team. That's number one, support the team. Number 2 is to entertain the audience while we're there, okay? And keep the audience associated with the game. Number 3 is to battle the other band. We got to make sure that our priorities are in order.
That's what's up, man. That's actually a good point. Something I didn't really think about per se. I remember back in the day, back at Smith, we used to play the entire 4th quarter or something, or, we wasn't tripping off the football team. But you make a really good point. We could actually create, transition music just like we have here on the 90 Degree Show. We can keep our book exactly what it is, but then we can have it like Bleacher Feature number 1, where you only play from measure 23 to 48 in between the snaps. You know what I mean? We could do stuff like that, because then it'll maybe keep the crowd involved, or then it'll and then right to the game. It'll keep us like we're involved in the game too. So shout out to you, man. That's actually a really good point. Last but not least, while we're running out of time before the music comes on, Southern and Jackson State, the Boombox Classic. We're all excited about it. We talk about it every year, and of course we have a lot of hits on it every year. They're going to have a Battle of the Bands the Friday night before the game. Now, I am pretty excited. Tell me, Rashad, have you heard that news?
I have heard that news. I don't know anything about it, but I've heard that it's true.
Yeah, man. So I'm pretty excited about that. So, we'll have something to talk about that day. We'll have 2 things to talk about that day. What do you think about a Battle of the Bands there between and it'll be like in someone's gym or something like that. What do you think about a Battle of the Bands, how that's going to be between Southern and Jackson State?
I'm thinking don't wait for a 5th quarter on Saturday. Number 1. I don't know. I honestly don't know. One of the best Battle of the Bands has been between A&T and Norfolk State. Both of those bands bring a lot of creativity to the table there. So I don't know what to expect here. I don't know if they're just going to be just 2 bands and they're just going to play as loud as possible and then do whatever. Because in the gym environment, it's different. You don't feel the power in the gym because the sound gets kind of sucked up.
I was just about to say that.
It's going to be awesome, you know what I mean, versus being in the football stadium with 2 bands playing.
That was my point.
Everybody's probably going to go deaf. I believe everybody in the stadium is going to go deaf.
You're going to put Southern and Jackson State in a closed environment. You know what I'm saying? And then you have people up there with cameras and all that stuff breaking, and the stuff going to work different tomorrow morning, just letting y'all know. I mean, it's going to be like crazy up inside something. I wish they had like some type of amphitheater where they could make it. But I think that's going to be exciting, man. So we're getting close here, and the music's back to start on, man. I'll give you the floor. You have anything to say before we close out for the night?
Yes. And Joe, this is something I've been meaning to talk to you about, so we can do our thing eventually. I want everybody to give to their school, band in particular. I'm promoting something called 100 for Hampton, which means that I'm going to give $100 to my band program this year, and I'm promoting everybody that I know that went to Hampton to do the same. And I want everybody, every school to do that. There's no reason why we can't be giving all of our organizations $20, $30, $40, $50, $60,000 a year to our band program. There's no reason why we can't. We just got to do it. So I encourage everybody to do that.
You know, that ties into a little bit we were talking about last week at top about Tom Joyner, and you remember Dr. Davenport called in and he was saying, you know, Ohio State, they all got, you know, iPads. So, you know, they're doing a lot more with precision, but you're seeing a lot more of the money and the resources getting into. I think you hit that on the head where it's like, you know, we need to go ahead and take accountability for our programs and just let us fit over the dollars, because it'll then pay off, because it's an investment. You know what I'm saying? It'll pay off for our schools and it'll pay off for our entire community in the future. But definitely, we need to start supporting our programs. We need to start sending money back home, so to speak. So I appreciate you again, Rashad. Another good show. And anything else to say before you close out, man?
No, man, that's good, man. I appreciate you having me on every week, listening to me rattle on and on. Nobody else will.
Hey, man, well, you always got something breaking down to say. I think it's always as good you have your opinion, because like I said, I'm always come in and say, man, they was loud, or that was dope. But, you know, like you said, you're going to say, well, they were missing the second and the thirds, you know, and that's right. Very, very important. You know what I'm saying? So appreciate you, Rashad. Have a good week, man.
You too, brother. Thanks again.
All right, I don't see anyone else in the call queue, and thanks for all the people in the chat room. Shout out to you, Tyrone, for letting me know about Pam Oliver. Tyrone wanted to let us know more band needs to incorporate snippets of songs, just like playing the chorus or something. And definitely he is dead on with that. So shout out to you, Tyrone. Shout out to 8 to 5 Entertainment. Thank you again for your videos, and it's going to be another great year. Coming to the end of our show tonight, and we're giving you all the parting shots, but thank you again for listening. That's all the time we have. Check out our website and donate what's in your heart to themarginpodcast.com. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Thanks to you for listening. And remember, the lectures you may deliver may be very fine and true, but I'd rather get my lesson by observing what you do. See you next time.